to introduce Patty. You're recording. Hot damn.
Hot damn.
Well, I'm very excited to introduce this woman because she is, well, I've only gotten to know her through the RMT because she is our international board liaison to the RMT, and she is just, Elaine, you're just a hoot, and you're so down to earth, and I just love that you're ours. So I want to thank you for doing this. She's hails from Scotland, right? Because I thought it was England, but it's Scotland. No.
Edinburgh.
Okay, great. And so she's been in Sweet Adelines since Hector was a pup. She's served on 1,000 different committees and got tons of experience. She was a co-chair for IES in 2019, and she works all around helping choruses in her region, vocal coach, quartet and chorus and coach. And I can just tell you that just my experience alone, there's no doubt in my mind that she is for us. She is for every member. And so I'm excited to have her start off our day today by talking about new beginnings and what we've been through and all of that. There's plenty of time for discussion. So there's questions that this is a wonderful opportunity for her to be your liaison from the board. And so feel free to just ask away either by chat or that's probably the easiest depending on how many we have. But Annette is going to be moderating that. So without further ado, our own special, private, personal Scot, Elaine Hamilton. Everybody mute. Okay.
Thanks, Karen. Now I need to change this view so it's not my big face that I see all the time. That's better. So yeah, well, thank you for all that. I was going to tell everybody about myself, but it's far better when somebody else does it because you feel a bit silly speaking about yourself. Well, I do anyway. The only things you haven't mentioned, Karen, is that I'm a baritone, and which of course, but I used to be a lead. So don't hold that against me. And I sing baritone with Forth Valley Chorus, and I also sing with Mac 4 Quartet. We've retired, but we still get together and sing. And well, we mostly laugh and joke actually, but we can't help ourselves singing when we get together. So yes, I am Scottish. I'm trying to speak slowly today because I know I can babble on, and that can be difficult. So if I am speaking too quickly, just shout, stop, you're going too fast. A bit later on, there's a wee bit of a chance for you to participate a little bit. I'm looking for your thoughts and ideas. So, and I don't want you to be Scottish. Scottish people are a bit reserved and a bit shy. So they don't tend to come, you've got to really coax information out of them. I'm sure in Region 1, it's not like that, but don't be Scottish for that. Yes, questions and thoughts as we go along. And I'm very grateful to Karen for inviting me to do this. This is a sort of bespoke presentation for your region. I'm also very grateful to Patty for being the tech coordinator, and I've just discovered this morning Annette, who is going to be the chat moderator. So she will let me know if there are questions in the chat and everything. So thanks to all for doing that. So now the first thing is click to share screen. Aha. Right, could everybody please cross their fingers that this works?
Hopefully our account is set up correctly so it works. Yay. Okay.
Can you see this? Wait a minute while that top bit goes away. I don't want you to look at all the bits down the side. Don't be looking at the bits down the side. There. And I've started it at the wrong place. Stop share. Oh, now help, Patty. Start me at the top. See, this is the first time I've done a Zoom with a presentation on it. Practice it 1,000,000 times. Fine. I knew this would happen. Okay. Patty's going to, because I sent it to her. And then, yeah. So being Scottish is a good thing. Everybody likes us. That is perfect. You'll have to do my clicking now, Patty, I think, will you? I don't know. Yes, she's nodding. Okay, so thank you very much to Karen Sweeters for giving this a title. Titles are always the hardest thing in a presentation, I find, but Karen actually gave me this, so I'm very grateful to her for that as well. The picture that you can see, it's not hugely clear, but you can see it. This is a picture of a place called Cala Gildana. It's in an island called Menorca in the Mediterranean Sea. You may have heard of Menorca. You're probably more likely to have heard of Mallorca or Ibiza. And it's one of those three islands. This picture makes me sad in a way and happy, because I'm sad that I haven't been able to go there for quite a while. We hadn't been there for a while anyway. And then of course, COVID came along and we couldn't go even if we wanted to. And when you can see it, it's just so beautiful. But it makes me happy because I know that it's still there. I know it's there, and one day I will get back there. And in many ways, that's actually just like chorus. One thing that you'll hear me say throughout today is one size doesn't fit all. So you will be bored with me saying that, but it's especially true in these COVID times and where we find ourselves at the moment. So if I could have the next slide, please. I can't do this, no. So this is a quote from John Rutter. Some of you may have heard of him. He's an English composer of mainly choral music. And he says, choral music is not one of life's frills. It's something that goes to the very heart of our humanity, our sense of community and our souls. Now, how relevant is this to Sweet Adelines? We join for the singing and we stay for the community. And we haven't had that. There's three very important words there: humanity, community, and souls. And I think that's really, really relevant for Sweet Adelines. Even if you're not into huggy harmony, I'm thinking of Gail Jensick, it's still very relevant to us. So the goals, could I have the next one, please, Patty? Yeah, we're working really well, Patty. So the goals, there's only three. We want to acknowledge what has happened during the COVID times, have a greater understanding of the transition stages between COVID and the future, and understand how to move forward in a positive way and build on our foundations. So the next slide, please, Patty, is a visual of that. Some people like to see pictures, so it just reminds you of what we're doing. We're acknowledging, we're transitioning, and we're moving forward. Now, I particularly like this picture of moving forward because it's like a tunnel. It's not, we don't have a destination. We talk about this a lot in Sweet Adelines. It's the J word, the journey. And we move forward all the time. And even courses that have reached the top, one at international, they don't just stop and say, well, that's that, done that. There is always continuation and moving forward. So let's look at the first one, please, Patty, which is acknowledge. Oh, that's my acknowledge picture, so we can go on to the next one. Now, and the unfortunate thing is you're going to see everything at once, I think, because Patty's doing it, not me. But if you could go forward, please. Oh, acknowledgement. And one more.
Wait, which, oh, you want to go
The
past
next,
acknowledgement?
Okay. Can I go? I can do it. No, I can't do it.
No, you can't do it. That's me. Okay.
That's
Goal
it.
one, is that
Okay.
what you want? Okay.
So that's one. Thank you. So I had all this, I'm not a great, Karen said in the beginning that, I'm honest and I'm down to earth. Well, I'll be down to earth and tell you, I'm not a great lover of PowerPoint presentations. But I did try to make this a bit fancy wancy, and I had these zooming in from the side, but really, you know, we're all adults here and you can see it all at once. So
Yeah,
the first thing
because I couldn't do your PowerPoint. I had to do a PDF, so.
absolutely fine.
Okay.
So can we pick up where we left off? Now, my opinion is no. And my opinion is, I don't want to. I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forwards. Now, some of you will agree with that. Some of you may not. That is absolutely fine. But I would put this to you. If you were a marathon runner and you hadn't been able to train for the last 18, 19 months, would you really want to do a marathon tomorrow without doing some training, without thinking ahead? And I think the answer to that would be no. Now, I'm only guessing at that because those of you who know me know that there's no way on this earth I would ever run a marathon. But you can imagine, you can't just start from where you left off. Things have changed, and we'll come on to that. So there was a study done by the World Choir Council in 2021. And the survey that they did said that the most important thing for chorus members at the moment is to feel comfortable and safe. It's not to be back at chorus and singing their contest set. It's to feel comfortable and safe. And this has to be the number one priority for choruses, choirs everywhere. So I stuck it in there anyway, one size does not fit all, because it's relevant to most of this presentation. But when you think about our worldwide organization, I have learned through being on the international board that in America, you have state laws as well as country laws. That's not something I'm familiar with, because in Scotland, we have Scottish law that applies to the whole of Scotland. But your laws don't necessarily apply in America to the whole of America. So there's differences in state to state. There's differences region to region. Some regions are cross-border regions, USA and Canada. My region, Region 31, we have the UK and the Netherlands, completely different country with completely different laws on a different time zone. And of course, country to country. There's the UK, there's Region 31, UK and the Netherlands, there's Australia, Sweden, New Zealand, you name it practically, and let's hope we get more in the future. But it can't possibly be one size fits all when we have so many different things going on in different countries. This next one is really important, the time to reconnect, reflect, and re-engage with one another. What has happened over the past 18, 19 months, I don't know exactly how long it is now, too long, but there's been a huge amount of change in people's lives. Some people have lost family members, some choruses have lost members, some people have lost friends to COVID, and normally what would happen when there is no pandemic is we would have a funeral, we would gather together, we would laugh, we would cry together and celebrate the life of that person. We haven't been able to do that as choruses if we have lost people. Most of us, either directly or indirectly, know somebody who has had COVID or lost somebody through COVID. If they've had COVID, they perhaps have had some serious interventions in hospitals, and it's been a very traumatic time for them. Other people have perhaps lost jobs. Think of our educators in Sweet Adelines who traveled the world and spread all their fantastic knowledge to everyone, or even just traveled within America. They haven't been able to do that. They've had to pivot and look for other ways to earn income. Things have changed. Now, I'm not suggesting that we look in depth at all of that in this Zoom meeting. That's something for you all to do within your own groups. But it's a very important part of moving forward. And you can compare it to grief. And you need to acknowledge these things in order to be able to move forward. Now, there's also a flip side of that with all the positive things that have happened during COVID, things we've learned, things we never knew about. Now, I'd like to know how many of you had heard of Zoom before we had COVID. Who knew? But it's actually proved to be our friend. It hasn't felt like it some of the times, but it has proved to be our friend. And I know that in your region, Karen, as your education coordinator, has really made good use of Zoom. And there's more positives from that. And as I say, we'll look at that later. So I've got another great quote for you, Patty, if you could go to the next one, please. Change is something that happens to people, even if they don't agree with it. Transition is internal. It's what happens in people's minds as they go through change. And this is what's happening to us at different stages for different people. One size doesn't fit all. But this can be where we're at the moment, or we might be in the moving forward stage. We might still be in the acknowledgement stage. But this is more personal. Change is happening all around us, but how you work with that, how you transition with that is internal to you. We're all different, we're all unique. I've taken this quote and the next slide that's coming up. I've taken that mostly from the Spark publication from August 2021. You can look that up on the Sweet Adeline's website if you want to know a wee bit more about it. So if I could have the next one, please, Patty. And this is my visual, moving from work to play. And, it's like me going onto the beach at Cala Gildana, except I would not be wearing a bikini. And the next one, please. So there's really three main stages of transition: ending, losing, letting go, the neutral zone, and new beginnings. And ending, losing and letting go is where it's closest to grief. You'll feel a lot of emotions, sadness, anger, denial, uncertainty. These are all emotions that you do feel as you're going through the grieving process. But I thought, to make this a bit lighter, I would liken it to being on the contest stage. Can you remember that far back? You're on the contest stage and you have 2 songs to sing. So you're at the tag of your first song. And if you're anything like me, then you will go through thinking, oh, I took a breath where I shouldn't. I hope nobody noticed. I forgot such and such a word. So all this is going through your head as you finish the song. So then you move into the neutral zone, which is the space between the 2 songs. So do you stand there and worry about all of those things? Do you hold on to what happened in the first song? You have to let it go. So you have to let go at the end of the first song. And in the neutral zone, in terms of bigger transitions, it's the bridge between the old and the new. So it's like between 2 songs. And you can have anxiety about the future, and you can be a bit skeptical about where things are going. But do you just stand there? If you liken it to the songs, do you just stand there with a kind of neutral expression on your face? No, you start thinking about, well, I've got this song coming up. You acknowledge the applause. And now I've got my next song coming up and I can't wait to sing it. And we sing this so well. And everybody's going to love it. And that takes us on to new beginnings when you're on the intro of the new song and you've got a fresh start. This is a new song. You start all over again with how are we going to sing this and how are we going to move forward on this with enthusiasm. And as I say, this is taken mostly, this is a really abridged version of stuff that is in the Spark publication. So if you want to know more about transition stages, you can get more there. I just kind of kept it very narrow in here, or very simple, really, because it isn't really complicated. It is quite straightforward, and I wanted to give you the competition setting, the contest setting, so that you could, it's a way to remember it as well, I hope. So if we could have the next one, please, Patty. Now they're all going to, not this one. This is my moving forward with my lovely tunnel, which I thought was quite good. And the next one, please. So this is all coming at you as one. It doesn't matter. Please try and focus on me. So the first one, I want to ask you, what can you do when you're thinking about moving forward in a positive way and building on foundations? What can you do as a member to help yourself and your chorus, well, not your chorus friends so much just now, but just yourself? What kinds of things do you think you can do? Please don't be Scottish. Any ideas?
I'm going to ask our class members to unmute themselves and just chime in.
Chime in. I can't think, I don't believe that you can't think of a single thing.
I've given the 3 second.
Okay.
I, for one, I sing every day.
Excellent.
I don't do official vocal warm-ups, but I sing every day. I sing with the TV or the radio or in the car, or I hum. That's what I do.
That's fantastic, Annette. I was going to mention, well, I have already mentioned about the marathon athlete, and we need to get our voices back again, because they haven't been working as hard as they have prior to COVID. So that's fantastic. Thank you. Anything else?
I was going to say that also. And the other thing I do, or I have been doing throughout the pandemic, is I've tried to go back to some of our songs and sing through the old rep, whether or not we're going to do it. I just, it's something to do. I don't want to just warm up. I want to sing something. So I go back to the music and try and keep that in my head.
That's so true, Wendy. I mean, warm-ups are great, but they're not very fulfilling in terms of your emotional needs. And I'll tell you, if your director is listening to this, she'll be thrilled that you're looking at old repertoire.
My director is Karen.
All right. Okay. I'm sure Karen is dancing on the spot at the moment that you're doing all of that. Anything else?
Yes, my chorus is on the threshold of auditioning a new director, and we are in transition potentially between new directors if the chorus should accept the candidate. And so we are on the threshold of a major transition, and I pray that our chorus make it through the transition in a way that is peaceful and wholesome, and I don't know how to say it without tremendous emotion, a way that is positive for our chorus. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
No, don't apologize for being emotional. No wonder you're emotional. A new director is a huge thing. I've been through that in my own chorus, and it's massive.
Could you tell us about it, please? I feel I need advice. I am the president of the chorus, and I feel I need advice. Please tell us your experience.
I can only tell you it from my own point of view, but it took a while to get used to the new style. And I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it just did. And it took, and I think the other thing you have to do is give the new director space to work out their own way. This is very much like, thinking of transition for everybody. This is very important. But for when it's a new director, the new director has to find out how they're going to do it. The chorus has to give them space to make mistakes, basically, and find their own way. It's not going to be the same as it was before, but it's going to be a new opportunity. And things are going to happen that you've never done before, probably, because they're full of ideas. They're your new director because they want to be. They're desperate to bring all their knowledge and wisdom and energy to your chorus.
We don't know if this person will be accepted as the new director. So
I would still say that whoever the candidate is, they have all these feelings, that they're excited and they want to do their best. I think it's something else that I was going to touch on today is, and I've seen a lot of this on social media, is you have to be kind. You have to be kind to them. They have to be kind to you. You have to be kind to each other. And I think one size doesn't fit all either. Some people will really like the new person. Some people may not like them so much. In the long run, if it's the right person, it will all work out in the long run. Adeline, I would look at really thinking about the transition stages, because it's in terms of your new director.
I think your program is so helpful. Could it be offered to the chorus as therapy for my chorus?
I would hesitate to offer therapy to anybody, but I'm happy to deliver this to your chorus if you so wish.
I think it would be very helpful to my chorus.
Okay, so at the end, I've put my email address at the end. So if you jot that down at the end, you can get directly in touch with me and we can set something up.
It's also it's being recorded, so all members will have access to it.
Thank you.
Okay, well, you don't need to book me again. So
thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
So anything else that people?
I just wanted to add, first of all, good luck, Adeline, with your chorus.
Thank you.
You all have spoken about, singing and staying in touch with your voice and songs and stuff. I know for me, it's important to feel connected with the other members and the other leaders. And so I know that I've been intentional about trying to stay connected to, through the planning process, like what are we doing rehearsal to rehearsal. We're not meeting every week, but we're trying to stay on track and just give all the members opportunities to keep singing and learning. And for me, it's important to feel a part of that forward motion and the engine that's pushing the chorus forward.
Yep. And I would say, Laura, the feeling of connection is really important to us in Sweet Adelines. We are such a community and we've missed it. And just be careful that everybody is on the same page with that. And I'll give you an example. Some of my friends have been going to the theatre and the cinema, see the new James Bond picture. And whilst I'm really positive towards the future and looking forward to things moving again, I'm not ready to go to the cinema. I'm not ready to go to the theatre. So everybody can be at slightly different stages, but that connection is so important. Has anybody got anything else they want to add to all of that?
Hi, it's Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
From Boston Skyline Chorus. I think one thing I've been learning is bring more patience and kindness, like you were saying. We're fortunate enough to be now singing together, but after not singing together for 18 months, we're those marathon runners who are out of shape.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So just realizing that it will take a time and a process to get ourselves back into where we left off vocally, but to make sure that there's space for that, the joy of being together and hearing our voices together.
Yep. And it's, as the quote said earlier on, it's most important for people to feel comfortable and safe. It isn't most important for them to be singing their contest song at such and such a level. So yeah, that's a really important point. Thank you.
I just want to add to what Michelle said. We were fortunate enough to be able to sing outside during the summer, and we are back in our rehearsal hall. And the thing that we have energy is that you just need to applaud the small successes. I mean, there's these little things that happen. So we envisioning ourselves as just starting over, and every little thing that we added. So keeping that positive energy of, look what we learned today. It's like the toddler learning to walk again. One step, you don't push a toddler to start running. So we just found it really important that we just applaud our successes.
Absolutely. I wish I'd thought of that analogy, Stephanie, the toddler. You don't push a toddler to run. You've got to go at your own pace, and it will take time. Think about things that we've learned in the past is something I would mention when we've been approaching contest. So you need to reconvince yourself that you are a great baritone or lead or tenor or bass. You need to reconvince yourself that you have a lovely voice. You wouldn't be in your chorus if you didn't have a lovely voice, because singing on Zoom, I'll be quite frank about it, for me has been horrible. I have listened to myself singing in my kitchen here on chorus nights and thought to myself, how on earth did I get into Forth Valley Chorus? And if only they knew this is what I really sing like. But actually, it isn't what you sing like. Your voice has been different as you've been singing on Zoom, if you've been singing on Zoom. So you need some of these positivity notes about yourself, around post-it notes around the place. I've got a lovely voice. I'm a great baritone, all that kind of stuff. Scottish people find that very difficult on the whole, but we try.
And Elaine, this is Gail. We had a discussion this past Wednesday night, because we're hybrid for those who aren't ready to come back in person yet, which is fine. But I at one point, everybody just sounded, I guess the word I would use was timid. And I said, you need to appreciate that everything you've learned all these years hasn't gone away. It's just dormant. And it's in there somewhere, and it's going to come back, but it's not. You didn't learn it all in 2 or 3 rehearsals. It took years of education and practice and hard work to get those skills to a place where they were, you felt confident in them. That's going to take time, for that to start to come back. But don't be afraid that you lost it. Don't be afraid to sing and have it not be what you think it ought to be now.
Yeah, you're so smart, Gail.
I know. Tell all your friends.
I do. It's true though, and our director encourages us to, sing out. Don't be timid, because I think for some of us, our confidence has been knocked a little bit with the singing during COVID, because our voices haven't sounded the same, and you do think to yourself, is this how I really sound? And you need it, as you say, Gail, all that hasn't gone away, and it's going to come back quicker than it took to get to that point.
Correct.
Yeah. So yeah, good, really good point. And do some humming in the shower or in the car or while you're having a walk in the fresh air, which is also really good for you. So linking this to the next point, which is how can you help or influence how others feel? Have you got any ideas about that? Bearing in mind people are at different stages. You have to excuse me scratching my nose, by the way. I had my flu jab and my COVID booster on Thursday, and for some reason it's made me itchy. So, but I'm fine, but I'm very conscious of scratching my nose. So one of the things I would suggest is being kind, as I spoke about it earlier, but recognize that not everybody is where you are. And perhaps take note of who is not coming to rehearsal in person if you've started that. And just connect with them. This connectivity is very, very important. Send them a card, send them a wee card, just thinking of you, or drop them an email and invite them for coffee, go out for a walk together. Sometimes the thought of going back into that huge or larger community can be quite daunting after a year and a half of pretty much being at home. And that's where I am with cinema. It's too daunting for me at the moment. I know I'm close to going back because I really want to see the new James Bond film, but I'm just not quite ready yet. And others in your chorus may feel like that. So any other ideas about how you can help others?
We are also singing, the people who are here in person are masked. And that was a group decision. And no one's objected to it. Nobody likes it. But what I talked about this past week when we took a mask break was think of how you have to approach your breath management skills differently in order to produce a sound that feels anything like you're used to with the mask on. So let's turn it around to say, okay, maybe this is helping to develop some other skill that's also gone away. I don't know that anybody actually bought that, but I gave it a shot.
Well, they may not have bought it, Gail, but as a singer, I know how difficult it is. We're wearing singers' masks when we're together, and you're breathing in the air you've just breathed out. You're not getting as much oxygen as normal. And it's difficult. I am not breathing to the level that I was able to breathe before COVID hit. Now, I've had a talk with myself about that and decided that I'm not going to concern myself with it because things are different at the moment. But it's important to talk about these things. That's the big thing. Because you might be saying this, Gail, to somebody in your chorus and they had never thought about it, and they might be fretting about it. Oh, you know, I'm no good at this anymore because I can't breathe. You know, it needs all to be out in the open, I think, is a big thing about that. Anything, anybody else?
I'd like to add that it's important sometimes to talk to someone else to know how they're feeling. You might assume that they're not coming or they're not participating, or they are participating because of, you know, you're going to assume what they're feeling about that whole thing because of their actions. But in some cases, people take action, but it doesn't match what you think they are really feeling. And so I think it's important to ask people, you know, do you want to talk about it? And you don't have to, you could do it in a group setting, but you can do it privately. Like you said, reach out to somebody and say, hey, you know, how you doing? Let's just talk about it, and not assume that you know how people are feeling.
Absolutely. And an important part of that is listening, and really listening, actively listening, not assuming, as you say, they're going to feel the same way as you, and not being surprised by some of the things that they may feel that you personally might think, wow, I've never felt like that. But that doesn't mean to say you're right and they're wrong. It's one size, etc., etc. And listening is very, very important. And asking the question, how are you? I've seen, I have actually myself, when I haven't seen somebody, this was more last year when it was all Zoom, not on the Zoom, I've dropped them an email and said, haven't seen you for a while. Are you okay? How are you doing? Miss your face, or, you know, something like that. But yeah, listening is really important.
Yeah. I find sometimes I'm worried about singling out somebody. Like, I don't want them to feel like, oh, she noticed, or did I do something wrong? Recently, I sent a group text to my section, and I was specific about talking about some things that we were working on, but it was also kind of like fluffy, right? Like, it was sort of like an open-ended invitation that they could reply to just me if they had things. And I did hear from 2 of them. So like, there's different ways that people people respond to different ways of communication. So I think just there's not one size that fits all, right? So you've got to like try different ways to kind of touch everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a great way, because some people can feel a bit threatened by, why are you picking on me kind of thing? Have I done something wrong? So that's another great, send an email to a few friends. If you know somebody really well and they're not going to take it the wrong way, do a personal thing. There's a myriad of ways you can do all of this. So I hope that's kind of set your juices flowing about, just thinking about how to help yourself and how to help others. But I want to move on now to the positives we can take from Zoom times. And I'm just going to throw that open to you. Tell me what positive you feel you can take from these times.
For me, I like the idea that I see people showing up, that Gail has showed up every rehearsal, and so has so many of the other members. And when it was terrible and when there was a lot of things going on, people showed up and were there and were smiling and they were singing along, and it was solidarity. I wasn't alone. There were my friends. Life goes on. It's not the same as it was, but it was there, that feeling of showing up and how important that was for me, but it was important for everybody else in the damn chorus.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. That's us bigging up Gail again. Let's not do that anymore. Let's have some others bigged up. I'm joking, Gail. I'm joking.
Sure.
For Zoom, I'm on my course management team and I'm also on the RMT. And so being able to have meetings and not have to drive, because my course is almost 3 hours away and I usually have to drive at least 3 hours to an RMT meeting. It's been really nice to do that. I will hope that stays. But I also think that there have been times where at the Zoom, we didn't even sing, and we don't sing for the RMT, but in both cases, if there is like bad news or good news or something that we just needed to connect about, we could all jump on, even if it wasn't a chorus night, just to say, well, that sucks, or that was awesome. I'm so glad we're moving forward. And it's been a way to connect with each other on scheduled times or at the last minute. And I think that's a real positive that could continue once things are back to normal.
Yep, absolutely, Laura. And you're so right. I think apart from anything else, the cost saving, personal cost saving on your gas, cost saving for your region, Zoom will help us with that. One word of caution though, for teams to work effectively, you do need to get together. So in my head, moving forward, I would like to think that you won't always work together on Zoom. I think it has its benefits, but you bond better as a team when you're together. It's like you bond better as a chorus when you're together, but that's certainly been a big positive. Anybody else?
Yeah, we found that because when we were on Zoom, and we've been singing outdoors in a garage for the last, I don't know what, 6 months, 8 months. But when we were on Zoom, we found that people listened more carefully to the recordings and our pitch actually improved because so many people were listening more conscientiously, I guess. So that was, we hope that stays.
We're the same, Wendy. We're the same. Our pitch is really good now. Anybody else?
Our director really took advantage of that Zoom time to teach us more about harmony and ear training. She found really cool videos. And so I feel like I'm better at like relative intervals now because, you can't spend all that time in chorus. You're singing songs. So I appreciate that Wendy Pachter put in that effort.
The online education is definitely something that's going to move forward. I think Sweet Adelines itself there's some great stuff on the website, education-wise. Education Direction Committee has moved forward a lot with online education. So people like Kathleen Hansen and Kim Vaughan and the stuff they've put on, and we can access that anytime we like. And we don't have to sit for an hour and do it. We can start it and then something else might happen, and we can come back to it. It's like these recorded Zoom sessions, you can come back to it. Because I know there's Zoom fatigue as well. We have to remember to keep that in mind as well. But yeah, absolutely, these things. Anybody else?
Yeah, as a chorus director, because what we did when we were on Zoom all the time was at the last 10-ish minutes, we would have just breakout rooms, random breakout rooms, and it was just purely social time. And as a chorus director, I got to talk to people, for months that I'd never had a chance to have a real conversation with, seriously. And that's one of the things, we did some other creative things to fill the time that wasn't just singing by yourself in your kitchen. And we have pretty much decided, at least for the near term, starting the first of the year, that we're going to have the last Wednesday of the month be on Zoom, so that we can, first off, it's a big money saver in terms of hall rental fees, but that time to connect was very different than we have in, people have long drives home, they want to get in the car and go and get out of there. This way we can sit around, people can go get a glass of wine or a cup of tea and visit for 15 or so minutes. And we discovered that's an important feature that we don't want to give up.
Absolutely, Gail. Yeah, that you're so right. We did that as a chorus. We're a big chorus. We're over 100 people. And we, at the end of our chorus sessions, we would have that chat time. And I would be speaking to people who normally are way the other side of their risers that, I barely knew. So that was really important. And I feel I know my chorus friends a lot better now. And it would be a shame to let that go. So these are all the things that, or some of the things that are positives from Zoom times. So it's not all bad. There is some good as well. I would has anybody else got something you want to add? Otherwise I'll move forward.
Yeah, we gained 3 new members to our chorus. We opened our Zoom rehearsals to guests, and they came as guests, and we're back in person, and they're members.
And who would ever have thought that, Janet, that you could do that before the pandemic? We didn't even know Zoom existed, and here you've gained members. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic, and mutual applause for that. Anybody else?
Elaine, you have 10 minutes left.
Okay, all right, I'll move on, Karen. I'd sent an email to Karen prior to this saying, I'm not sure this is going to last an hour, but thank you, you're not Scottish, you share, thank you. So the word of caution here is that reflection is important. So before you go racing off into the future, just bear in mind not everybody's at the same stage, perhaps. Maybe check in, see that everybody is at the same stage. And it's actually okay for us all not to be the same. It'll take a while before we're all back on the same page, but it will come, it will come. Ensure you have the right support. This was touched on earlier when we were talking about reaching out to friends. Now, support for you could be family, could be a friend, it could be professional help. There's no shame in that. These have been unprecedented times that none of us have probably ever gone through before. It's big, so make sure you have the right support. I would just want to touch on the leadership. I know that the judges met in, I think it was August. Yeah, Karen's nodding. And the report that came back to the International Board was how enthused the judges are. They're really looking forward to judging. They've continued in their training. Their keenness for all things Sweet Adelines has not diminished in the slightest. And I would say this exactly the same from the board meeting, which was held in the early October. We heard a lot about great things that people are doing, regions across the world doing different things, and the committees that we have and task forces that we have doing different things, and all looking forward and not looking backwards. Your regional leaders. Now, kudos to all RMTs across the world, but Region 1, you have been amazing. And if you're not on the RMT and you're on this Zoom and you want to think about this, it's easy just to move forward and think to yourself, oh, haven't they been great? Drop them an email. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. I saw your first, I was particularly tuned into your first virtual convention. It was the best I've seen. That I'm not lying. It was fantastic. And I watched a few, but and I know it was put together in very short notice, but it was so good. The creativity that has come during these times, we're not going to lose that. It's like Gail was saying about your voice, it's still there. But what we've uncovered now is you are actually all really creative people, and the future looks even brighter because of the creativity that perhaps you've uncovered in yourself during these Zoom times. Here I am again with being quite open and honest. I know the Sweet Adeline's website is not always the most friendly of places to visit. That being said, there's some great stuff on there. And not just the education, but if you're thinking about trying to reconnect with the Sweet Adeline's community, take a look at Travel in Tune. I've looked at most of them. I've looked at them all so far, apart from the most recent, which I think is Region 3. And I am going to watch that. But the biggest thing I got out of that, apart from hearing lots of different education from people, is just seeing my community, seeing my Sweet Adeline's family across the world, learning about different regions and just places in the region. And it's great, it really is. And the good thing about it is you don't have to sit for an hour and watch their presentation. You can, if you've got 10 minutes, you could watch 10 minutes and then come back to it and just slide it along to where you left it off. We are screen fatigued, and some of you who do it for a living, I'm sure, are very, very screen fatigued. And lastly, I would say, well, nearly last, I don't think we should go back to the way things were. I think we've uncovered so much during these COVID times that we need to look forward on a new journey that has additional things now that we can utilize and use to make us even greater. If we could have the next picture, next slide, please, Patty. It's great. I see your mouse moving and I'm not having to do a thing. I'm back to Menorca, because I'm hoping that this picture, because it fills the whole page now, is a bit more in focus. I hope that's a bit clearer, and I hope that that has been what this presentation has done for you in thinking about the future. So the next one, please, Patty. Any questions? So we'll come to that. And the next one, please, Patty, which is the last one, I think. Yeah. Big thank you for not being Scottish. Thank you for contributing so much. I've got ideas I've written down from you. I had some of my own. Feel free now to ask questions. There's my email address for somebody was, I said I would put it on there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Elaine. This was wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to let them ask questions, but I just wanted to say thank you. This was terrific.
Oh, thanks, Karen.
You did a great job. All right, go ask her questions. She's your international board representative for Region 1.
I don't have a question, but I just want to point out to everyone that the link for the survey is in the chat. If you could please fill that out, we'd appreciate it.
Can I ask what's the survey about?
How they like the class.
Okay, so I would be interested for you to send me the results of that, and it
Will
doesn't
do.
matter, you know, I'm not, if everybody hated it, I need to know that. So don't worry about the results of it, but that would be
Yeah.
very helpful for me.
I usually send out the results to the teachers, so you'll definitely get it, Elaine. It'll
Excellent.
probably be a couple of weeks because we allow some time for them to, if they don't want to do it now, to do it from the website. So give me a couple of
Okay.
weeks and
No problem.
okay. All right, I guess everybody's got their questions answered, I guess.
I hope they all got the email because I just stopped sharing. We can give it
Thanks
to
all
you
of
if you need
for
it.
Thanks to all of you for taking time out of your day to attend and listen to a Scottish person.
No,
Oh, I love it.
really
I love
thank
your
you.
accent.
Thank you, Region 1, for coming out and you know, getting started. This is our day to get started. So
Thank
thank you for coming in. Elaine, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Very
Good luck.
welcome.
Good job.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, well, I know there's some other classes